poor baby. Pobrecito.
Oh, pobrecito.
Pobrecito.
This is Winging It, the somewhat whimsical, certainly whirring, decidedly wonky, seldom weighty, endlessly well-intentioned, and wildly witty show about music where one knows what's coming and the other doesn't, and it happens in between both proper to ensure you can spend a lot of time with us. So, now the moment everyone has been waiting for, certainly you, David, the big reveal. Today we'll be talking about 10 historical references in Beatles songs.
Oh, interesting. Historical references are always interesting in songs, but I often am faced with the question, which song, name songs based on real events, but Beatles songs.
Yes, I thought that would be fun.
Oh, I think I have a suspicion or two.
Likely know, absolutely. So the Beatles made history, but they didn't sing about it much. Even when they did, usually it was an oblique reference to a current event, something that for them was contemporary, but which has since gone into the history books. So interesting for us to take a look at it. Some of it is metaphorical, of course. Some of it is a one-liner, but it's very interesting. So we'll talk about it again. This is another one from Ranker. We love them, absolutely. So let's take a look. So let's start with Blackbird. What is Blackbird about?
Oh, the Beatles' Blackbird?
Yes.
Well, we were talking about that on another show, and I was actually talking about Highway to Hell. It was supposed to be one of those social consciousness things. Blackbird, a particular event, was it Rosa Parks? Or was it something similar?
Very similar. Right. So it's a veiled reference to the civil rights movement.
Oh, in general. I thought I didn't think it was about a particular person.
Although the American civil rights movement of the 1960s was happening on another continent, it didn't escape the notice of Paul McCartney. He penned a song whose lyrics were veiled reference to the struggles of African Americans. Blackbird singing in the dead of night, take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to arrive. McCartney later recalled, I had in mind a black woman rather than a bird. Those were the days of the civil rights movement, which all of us cared passionately about. So this was really a song from me to a black woman experiencing these problems in the States. Let me encourage you to keep trying, to keep your faith. There is hope. As is often the case with my things, a veiling took place rather than say black woman living in Little Rock. And be very specific. She became a bird, became symbolic, so you could apply it to your particular problem.
Well, I mean, from a songwriting standpoint, obviously that's way better anyway. I mean, wings, fly, all those references that if you say bird, it's perfect. The metaphors are all consistent and not mixed. And it could easily escape many people's notices, like mine, that it might be about anything other than an actual bird, or just some nebulous thing or just some vague thing. As the Beatles were known for abstract lyrics too.
Yeah.
But this one actually, you could have escaped. You could have missed it. The fact that it was what it was about. But
absolutely, it makes it even more beautiful to me knowing what it's about and where his heart was, and that he was actually trying to communicate something that maybe was not. You couldn't communicate it plainly at that time, right? And of course, Blackbird singing in the dead of night is beautiful. Probably it may have meant more to African Americans at that point if he had said, something specifically about them, but knowing that it was for them, it was a song to keep them, filled with hope, and it's just beautiful. So how amazing that they were so socially conscious and wanted to do something. And I thought that was great. I mean, that's their platform. They wanted to sing about it, and they did.
And it's such an impressive work, and it's a solo. It's a complete solo, and I just blown away that Paul McCartney achieved so much with one instrument and his voice,
right?
And a song that's moved everybody and has been covered many times, as we talked about it, and. And if I had been, if I took 5 minutes and searched my memory and thought of 10 Beatles songs, based on, I certainly would have come up with this one because, as you said, it isn't that common with them.
No,
but I definitely would have hit upon this one.
Absolutely, and some interesting things also as we go through. There's a couple of mentions of where else the Beatles are mentioned on Ranker. So. This song also ranks as number 2 on the best songs on the Beatles' White Album. And number 2 on fun songs to play on guitar. So that's obviously per ranker. So very interesting. Very interesting.
It's true. Well, honestly, when you play Blackbird on guitar, you kind of can tell yourself you're a real guitarist.
Absolutely.
Because it makes you feel good playing it.
Of course.
It's a challenge.
It is. That's what I've heard. So she's leaving home. Do you know what that's about?
No, I never. You mean specifically? No, yeah. I thought it was just some. Let's just write a song about this,
Yeah.
No, is that actually based on... Oh, wait a minute. Oh, no, you're right. It was somebody they knew, wasn't it? Yeah, tell me.
So it was based on the story of an actual runaway. Paul McCartney's Rye ballad, She's Leaving Home, the 6th track on Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, was inspired by a February 1967 Daily Mail article he read about a 17-year-old named Melanie Coe, who had abruptly run away from home, though she would return 10 days later. This one is based somewhat on a newspaper report of a missing girl. The headline was something like, "A level girl dumps car and vanishes." So I set out to imagine what might have happened, the sequence of events. Oddly, Coe had already met Paul McCartney before she ran away. In 1963, she had won a miming competition on a TV show where the Beatles were performing. McCartney was the judge and presented her with the award. He had no idea, obviously, that he had met her when he read the article, and she later had no idea the song was about her. She later recalled her impression of the song years later. "The amazing thing about the song," she said, "was how much it got right about my life." It quoted the parents saying, "We gave her everything money can buy," which was true in my case. Then there was the line, "After living alone for so many years," which really struck home with me because I was an only child and I always felt alone. I heard the song when it came out and thought it was about someone like me, but never dreamed it was actually about me. I can remember thinking that I didn't run off with a man from the motor trade.
I was going to ask.
So it couldn't have been me.
I swear. I was going to say, was there really a man from the motor trade?
Yes, there was not. And she says the miming
My whole
contest,
childhood was a lie. Okay.
No, it wasn't.
Actually, I never thought any of the song was real.
Wow. The miming contest in which McCartney judged the girl who would inspire one of his songs over 3 years can still be seen on YouTube. So we can go check that out if we want to. So isn't that interesting, though? Isn't that interesting?
I would never have guessed because it wasn't. It's one person, and
right.
That's not usually how songs about historical events work, But real things that really happened to real people. Now I have to broaden my focus if I were to think more. But hopefully you won't give me time. You'll read the next one.
Yes. Well, I'm going to tell you a couple other places where this song ranks. So this is number 3 on 12 songs with historical references we didn't catch before. And number 5 on the best songs on the Beatles album, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. So, interesting. So what about Taxman?
Well, I know some people are named Wilson and Heath are named in there. But so there's that. I knew those were real people. And, of course, the taxation situation is a little hyperbolic in that song, but, I mean, it has a bite and everything. And it does reference, what is it, Wilson and Heath, and I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. No, but yeah, I know that's based on mentions real people at least.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So you do know. So Taxman name checks 2 major UK politicians.
Aha.
So midway through George Harrison's complaint about the UK's 95% super tax on the highest income bracket come the following lyrics. "Don't ask me what I want it for, Mr. Wilson. If you don't want to pay some more, Mr. Heath."
Yeah.
The second line refers to Harold Wilson, Labour Prime Minister of the UK from 1964 to 1970, and the man under whose auspices the super tax was passed through Parliament. The fourth line refers to his rival, Edward Heath, leader of the Conservative Party and Prime Minister from 1970 to 1974. Although Heath, who once complained that there was too much taxation chasing too little income, did not support the 95% tax rate, his name was put into the song to provide some political balance.
I was going to say, poor Heath, cut him some slack here, But,
perhaps the Beatles were taking care not to annoy their Labour voting fans, who were no doubt numerous.
It's funny that sometimes a real person will be mentioned in a song, and it's not even clear where they are on them.
Right.
Like Lynyrd Skynyrd and the Governor. It makes it sound like they were in favor of the Governor, but they said boo, 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 which was missed by like everybody, including being me. I thought they loved the governor. I don't know. Anyway,
apparently, they were not in line with Heath, but they said we're trying to provide political balance, which I think is smart.
Yeah.
You don't want to alienate fans, and why not do a balanced song?
Yeah, see, I'm not being, even though I'm not as old as them, but being older and not being from the UK, I didn't know. I knew Wilson and Heath were real people, and somebody there were government and some taxes, something like that, but not exactly who, because I don't know, it wasn't worth digging into.
Right, at that time, absolutely. So
I'm not going to follow Heath on Facebook or on Instagram or anything like that.
I think he's probably no longer with us.
I'm thinking no.
Yeah, probably not. So this song also ranks number 4 on the 70 best rock songs about money, and number 9 on the best songs on the Beatles album Revolver. So, anyway, what you may not know, ladies and gentlemen, is that David loves the Beatles. I do too, but David loves the Beatles. So I didn't know how much of this he would know. I figured he'd either say, of course I know that, or he'd be like, I didn't know that. So it's interesting.
I expect to be surprised by a lot of things, actually.
No.
Well, I don't know, because I haven't had any time to sit and think and hit upon them. And now with, again, the broadened idea of what the show is about, which usually takes me about 40 minutes or so to figure out what's the theme of the actual show? What are we doing? What are we talking about here?
Oh, my God.
We're talking about, sexy songs. No.
No.
Songs in horror movies. No.
Oh, my God.
No. Oh, it was the Beatles thing.
Beatles thing.
Right. Yeah, Beatles thing. Thank you.
Oh, my God.
Okay. So
next song, number 4, Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite. So what do you think that was based on?
I'm thinking Pablo Fanke's Fair. Was there something real there? I think that the song might have referenced some real show like Pablo Fanke's Fair or something like that, or maybe the Hendersons. I don't know. But were there real people mentioned in there? I don't know. No, I know he saw a flyer, I think, for that or something. Sorry, go ahead.
It's based on an 1843 circus poster. This one, to be specific.
That's right. It was a flyer. I knew it. A poster. Yeah, okay.
Poster.
Yeah,
flyer. Same thing.
Yeah, so I remember, wait a minute, he saw that somewhere. He borrowed a lot of that.
Yes, one of the odder tracks on Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band is Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite, a whimsical journey through a kaleidoscopic soundscape that purports to advertise a circus performance by the eponymous Mr. Kite, joined by the Hendersons, who are late of Pablo Fanke's Fair. Like a carnival barker, the song offers a rundown of amazing feats of Mr. Kite. Over men and horses, hoops and garters, lastly through a hogshed of real fire. In this way, Mr. K will challenge the world. The song was written by Lennon, and he based most of the lyrics on an old poster he bought in an antique store while taking a break from filming the promotional film for Strawberry Fields Forever. Lennon later recalled, I wrote that as pure poetic job. To write a song sitting there, I had to write because it was time to write, and I had to write it quick because otherwise it wouldn't have been on the album, so I had to knock off a few songs. The whole song is from a Victorian poster which I bought in a junk shop. It's so cosmically beautiful. It's a poster for the fair that must have happened in the 1800s. Everything in the song is from the poster, except the horse wasn't called Henry. The poster advertises the Circus Royale and was the intriguing character of Fanke in his own right. He was very, very interesting, and a master horseman, an acrobat, and apparently the first black circus owner in British history. And he shot to the top of his profession and stayed there for decades, remaining one of the most beloved circus impresarios of the Victorian era.
Well, now, impressive.
Oh my goodness!
Oh,
so interesting, right?
Yeah, and once I thought about it, I was like, oh, that's right. There was this poster, and that's where he took most of. Yeah, I do remember that. But I didn't remember hearing any background information about the actual fair.
Right.
But I know those were all like, and you go, wow, what the hell was going on there?
Yeah.
It's interesting to look back and at showbiz and history and thing, and
yeah, especially in the 1800s,
and the music, that whole calliope sounding music, well, and the bizarre way he went about getting the sounds.
Oh,
cutting up a bunch of sounds and stitching them back together randomly.
That's so cool.
And it's a hell of an impressive track. So it's. That
it's
one.
A weird one, but I like it.
I probably would have figured that one too because I know it was a real poster. So
and you did. You brought it up. You were there. You made it. You made it there.
I barely slid under that one.
Hey, you got it though. So this also is on different
Lists, I'm certain.
Lists?
Yeah, lists. Yeah.
It's on different lists. So number 10 on the best songs on the Beatles album Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club, and number 103 on the Beatles' best songs ranked by fans.
Oh, wow. Which is not that...
Number 103.
Yeah, that's not that great. No, the 10th song on Sgt. Pepper. How the hell many songs are on Sgt. Pepper's? The 10th is not exactly a
Doesn't
rave.
Sound great.
I mean, She's Leaving Home. Honestly, I would have put a little lower. I'm sorry. It's a cool song and all, but it's not like I'm
with
in
you.
love with it,
So what about number 5, A Day in the Life?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, of course. That was a real story about a... Yeah, go ahead. Oh, you want me to say?
Well, sure.
Well, I have heard, actually. That's right. I'm the one who's not supposed to know anything, or who doesn't know anything until we find out if I do or not.
Right.
No, I know it's based... He saw it on the news, or he read it or something like that, or something, and various things had something about the guy in the car. And I can't remember if he killed himself or whatever, but I think so. But I know it is something prompted him to write that. Yeah,
absolutely. He referenced the fatal car accident of a famous swinging London socialite. I need the sorry.
Oh, what car accident? See, I would have bet he blew his mind out in a car, literally,
Well, let's see, because I don't really know.
Yeah.
I read the news today, oh boy, about a lucky man who made the grade. And though the news was rather sad, well, I just had to laugh. I saw the photograph. He blew his mind out in a car. He didn't notice the lights had changed. So begins what some consider the Beatles' greatest song of all, the John Lennon-Paul McCartney collaboration, A Day in the Life. It turns out that the lucky man who made the grade wasn't just a figment of their imagination. He was the 21-year-old Guinness heir, Tara Brown, a fixture of the swinging London scene who fatally crashed his Lotus sports car in December 1966. Lennon was quite literally reading the news today when he saw the story about Brown's accident. I was writing A Day in the Life with the Daily Mail propped in front of me on the piano.
Oh, wow. I read the news today. Oh, but boom,
Yes.
And then filling in the rest of it, a film, the English Army, and all that stuff. I mean, that would have been easy with the catalyst of the man who made the grade.
Yes.
I thought for some reason that it was the guy shot himself in the head, and
because it says he blew his mind out in the car,
and then. In that light, he didn't notice that the light has changed. Of course, he's sitting there through the light. He's dead.
Yeah.
Was like a grim, almost gag on that.
For sure.
But it turns out that's not the case. It was an accident.
So interesting, right?
But I knew it was something real.
You did.
Yeah.
Yep, you did. And what about number 6, which is back in the USSR?
Well, I mean, traveling to. They hadn't gone there, had they? That's a good one. No, I don't know.
All right.
Because we're talking about 68, 9, something like that. Had the Beatles gone there? I can't remember. I'm sorry.
All right. No, of course. It mentions a now defunct British airline. There's not much today.
Yeah, BOAC. Yeah.
There's much. There's much. The fuck is that? Is that a new snack? The Munch
and Crunch, Crunch and Munch,
Fuck me. Okay. There's not much history in back in the USSR. It's a rapid-fire tour through Soviet locations and culture mixed with a good-natured Beach Boys spoof, but it does manage to reference 2 institutions which, though when live and well when the song was recorded, are now long defunct. The first, of course, is the Union of the Soviet Socialist Republics. What is the second? It's called out in the opening lyric.
Flew in from Miami Beach, BOAC. I believe it was British Overseas Airlines something. I don't know. But
Corporation,
yeah.
Very nice.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yep. Formed in 1940, and in 1974, BOAC merged with British European Airways to form British Airways. So, interesting. So, yes, the lyric finishes, didn't get to bed last night. On the way, the paper bag was on my knee. Man, I had a dreadful flight.
But did that happen?
Well... It doesn't say that it happened, but since it is a kind of romp through, the Soviet Union, talking about different culture and all that, I assume it did.
Yeah, I love how it name drops. So, various things, not people, but things,
Yes.
It's like, okay, we're talking about balalaikas. We're talking about,
Yes.
The Ukraine is mentioned. Georgia is mentioned. Not that Georgia. Georgia, the former Soviet Union.
Right.
Which a lot of people out there didn't know existed. I mean, they only read about it in the history books,
Right.
But there was this big-ass conglomeration of nations now, separate nations now, called the USSR.
That's right.
And this, of course, was... as mentioned, a brilliant kind of a spoof, a send-up, an affectionate thing for the Beach Boys sound.
Yes.
But back in the USSR, Chuck Berry had a different kind of sounding song, but it was a great rock and roll song called Back in the USA.
Yes.
So it was a kind of a blend of those, and I think that was cool as hell.
That was very cool.
A really slick way to kick off the White Album, honestly.
Right.
With the plain sounds, which actually go through the song, If there's a top 10 list for the usage of plane noises, I'll
let you do that wing.
I'll do that research.
Yes.
But it starts with that, and it's a great way to kick off the album. Great song, and I know it mentions some places and things. So
so I assume the travel commentary is real.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Interesting.
Although I wouldn't have picked that as based on anything or anyone, but I mean it's based on. Of course, they were traveling. So.
Right, they were traveling, and they named institutions and culture and all that.
But
so
I don't think
it was just what they saw.
But now I'm wondering, was anybody going to the USSR in the '60s? I don't think so.
I have no idea.
I do not think so. But go ahead.
I have no idea. So that's interesting. But they may have still been, traveling, even if it wasn't.
Of course they were. Just
the USSR. Yeah. So it also ranks as number 4 on the best songs on the Beatles' White Album and number 11 on the 70 best songs about planes. Hey!
Okay, with or without sound effects.
So I guess we'll have to look into that one. So what about...
Now my grab me and my mind is running down a rabbit hole of songs about planes leaving on a jet plane.
Oh my God.
Jet airliner, please save me.
That's another winging it.
Save me from myself,
Okay, so Revolution is number 7.
Well, certainly references to Chairman Mao, Mao Zedong. And, that's legitimate and timely, I mean, people on the fence is like, wow, should I embrace this communism thing, And the Beatles saying, like, no, that's not a good idea. So God bless them for that,
But, definitely was referenced, obviously, Mao and a stand-in for radicalism gone too far. Mm-hmm. As a band, the Beatles were seldom political. As individuals, they often were. John Lennon, in particular, became increasingly vocal about political causes after his marriage to Yoko Ono and the beginning of his solo career. While a Beatle, though, he only made one real reference to political unrest of the late 1960s in the 1968 single, Revolution. The song acknowledges the legitimacy of progressive political causes while cautioning against overdoing things or resorting to violence. We all want to change the world. When you talk about destruction, don't you know that you can count me out? Amen to that.
But if you want money for people with minds that hate, all I can tell you is, brother, you'll have to wait.
One verse adds, but if you go carrying pictures of Mao, you ain't going to make it with anyone anyhow. Chairman Mao, sorry. You ain't going to make it with anyone anyhow. Lennon later told Rolling Stone magazine that he regretted the lyric. I really thought that love would save us all, but now I'm wearing a Chairman Mao badge. I'm just beginning to think he's doing a good job. So that's what he said later. And then given what we know about the atrocities Mao oversaw on his way to building a new China, Lennon seems to have gotten it right the first time.
Yeah, I'm sure he gave that some thought and probably said something about that later on.
Ooh, about that?
I don't think Mao is that fondly remembered by anybody.
No. I would have to agree with you. So very interesting. I mean, we knew just by the title Revolution that it had to be something like that. And the references were pretty clear about it. But again, they were very rarely political, at least not publicly, not through their music. But we know that they had very strong and still have very strong personal beliefs. So let's see. Number 13 on the best songs on the Beatles' White Album and number 19 on the best rock songs about fighting.
No.
Wow. Interesting. I don't know if I want a song on that, but what about Sexy Sadie?
Before when you were so kindly helping me or directing the organization of both studios here. Those four magazines that I had. One of them was about the Beatles, and it described the story behind all the songs.
Oh, look at that!
But it had been so long that I was stumped earlier on something.
Now it's kicking in.
Now, well, I mean, I'm still probably going to miss some, but this one I think. Well, Sexy Sadie is certainly based on Susan Atkins of the Manson family. That was her nickname. No, actually, I did read about that, and if I remember correctly, it was originally going to be called Maharishi, and Lennon was going to call it that, and George Harrison said maybe you want to call it something else. So they did call it Sexy Sadie.
Went the other way.
Went the other way. It's called it Sexy Sadie, and instead of Maharishi. although the lyrics were kind of pointing at the Maharishi, with whom he'd become disenchanted, as I understand it. And he thought, okay, this guy's just I thought he was enlightened. He's just another charlatan, or whatever the hell he thought. I think they all fell out with the Maharishi. But the name Sexy Sadie was later adopted by, so that would be the historical thing about real persons or anything like that. It would be about the Maharishi, if I had to guess. The name would be later adopted by Susan Atkins of Charles Manson's people, but it originated right there. Of course, so would Helter Skelter, for that matter, you know. But, that would probably be on the list, too, I imagine. I shouldn't have said that. Anyway, but yeah, Maharishi... and the other tie, of course, would be Susan Atkins, but it was the Maharishi final answer.
Very nice. Yep. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi.
Yeah.
So the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi exported Hindu meditation techniques to the Western world, founding the modern transcendental meditation movement. One of his ways of spreading the word was to capture the attention of celebrities, and in 1967, he invited the Beatles to a seminar in Wales. They liked what they heard, and they followed the Maharishi to India the following year. During the extended retreat, they learned, with varying receptivity, from the devoted Harrison and Lennon to the uninterested Ringo Starr, the tenets of transcendental meditation, while also writing many of the songs that would end up on the White Album. Initially responsive to the Maharishi's teaching, Lennon became disillusioned when allegations of sexual abuse and manipulation arose. The Beatles cut their trip short, and Lennon wrote a song asking the Maharishi, "What have you done? You made a fool of everyone." Later, Lennon, in his own words, chickened out and changed the title to Sexy Sadie. In this form, the track made it to the White Album. So apparently he chickened out. He was going to say it and call him out directly, and I guess he decided not to. This also ranks number 9 on the best songs on the Beatles' White Album and number 101 of the best Beatles songs ranked by fans. 101, big old 101.
They didn't have that many songs.
Apparently they think they did, or they...
Somebody was talking about them the other day. Were honoring them and said they wrote hundreds of songs. Like, no, they didn't. There are not hundreds of Beatles songs out there.
Hundreds?
Jeez. Hell no,
I wish.
I could be wrong about that, but I don't think there are,
Number 9, Tomorrow Never Knows.
Wow. Well, I would just say it was probably based on a real trip or something, but apart from that, I wouldn't know.
Well, it's about a reference. It references the Tibetan Book of the Dead.
I've heard that. That's true, yeah. Or it quotes it in some fashion.
Above the droning sitar, persistent drum fills, and tape loops of weird bird-like sounds, the final track on Revolver begins. Turn off your mind, relax, and float. Downstream, it is not dying. It is not dying. It's still considered one of the most groundbreaking tracks the Beatles ever produced. Inspired by the band members' experimentation with LSD, Tomorrow Never Knows features lyrics cribbed from a Timothy Leary book, The Psychedelic Experience, a manual based on the Tibetan Book of the Dead. John Lennon had found the book while browsing in London in April of 1966. Leary's book put an American psychedelic spin on a centuries-old religious text, which themselves have rather particular backstory, or peculiar rather, and particular. The most spiritually active of the Beatles, George Harrison, later wondered whether Lennon really knew what he was singing. I'm not too sure if John actually fully understood what he was saying. He knew he was onto something when he saw those words and turned them into a song, but to have experienced what the lyrics in the song are actually about, I don't know if he fully understood it. So, wow. Yeah. So, historical references. Obviously, referencing the Tibetan Book of the Dead is clearly a historical reference.
I that would have taken a few minutes to remember, but I knew that too, yeah.
I didn't know it was based on the Leary book. I did not know that.
No,
either.
I didn't know that part. I know they had they were acquainted with Leary, at least in that way.
Right.
But I think they knew him personally too. I wouldn't be surprised. But the Tibetan Book of the Dead knew about that, and what else? That it's it was historic. The song itself is historic in a number of ways. I mean, they used the backwards guitar, loops and stuff.
Yeah,
and
very strange.
Incredible drum, all kinds of weird vocal sounds and the drum trickery. Ringo was so impressed with that. Yeah, it's an amazing track, and so I kind of knew about that one too.
Yeah, you did. I mean, there's they reference so many things, and I love that they're taking it from life. What they see, this is from a book. What they're experiencing, if they're traveling, what they're seeing, what's happening in the world. I love that. I mean, that's really what music's about, right? Is just what you see, what you feel, what you hear, what you're going through, what you're experiencing. I love it. So this also ranks number 1 on the 50 plus best songs about tomorrow. And number 3 on the best songs on the Beatles album Revolver.
I don't know if it's about that much of anything, but anyway. But
I mean,
but it's in the title. But,
very strange, yeah.
But
not necessarily about tomorrow.
Let's see what's next.
So the final one in their top 10 is Sun King.
Oh, that would be about Louis. I think the Sun King, Louis XIV, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Beyond that, anything particular references? No, but I know Louis XIV was called the Sun King.
The second track, you're right. The second track in the linked suite of songs that fills most of Abbey Road's B-side is Sun King, a languid song penned by John Lennon. The lyrics are pretty vague. Here comes the Sun King, here comes the Sun King, everyone's laughing, everybody's happy. Or everybody's laughing, everybody's happy. Fuck me.
And then that hilarious French bit, Questo para mucho, cake and eat it, parasol. I mean, just insanity. It's amazing.
Well, did you know that the term Sun King is traditionally a reference to, Louis XIV, who reigned in the 17th and early 18th centuries? Lennon may have got the title from the Sun King Nancy Mitford's 1966 biography about Louis XIV. The second half of the song features nonsense lyrics and a faux romance language that sounds like Spanish or Italian. One phrase Lennon works in here is chica ferdi, which has its own history in Liverpool. Paul McCartney later explained, there was a thing in Liverpool that us kids used to do, which was instead of saying fuck off, we would say chica ferdi. It actually exists in the lyrics of the Beatles song Sun King. In that song, we just kind of made things up, and we were all in on the joke. We were thinking that no one would know what it meant, and most people would think, oh, it must be Spanish or something, but we got a little crazy word in there. So that's funny. That's interesting.
I think that there are words in there that are legitimate, but it's just taking a bunch of words from a particular language and just saying them. Cake and eat it is not even a word. They slip it in there as if they're just chanting some language. And parasol and questo para mucho. I'm trying to remember how it goes now, but it's very outrageous.
It is.
But that song, super, super impressive vocal harmonies on that song.
I can't even.
Yeah.
Very, very impressive. So this
definitely had to have influenced Queen. I mean, those are incredible. Sorry.
True. Yeah. Probably did. Yeah. I would imagine. Yeah. I mean,
well, they influenced everybody. What the hell am I saying?
I mean, come on. Yeah. This ranks number 2 on the 40 plus best songs about being a king, and number 7 on 10 Easter eggs and hidden details in Beatles songs.
Oh yeah.
So, wow. I think this was quite interesting because I think there's some that you knew, some that you didn't know, some that I'm assuming that our listeners also didn't know, or maybe they got wrong. But very, very interesting stuff. I hope you enjoyed that because that was for you, a lifelong Beatles fan.
The other one that came to mind from the trip with the Maharishi, I believe that's when it took place, but I'm having trouble with one detail of it, is Dear Prudence. The young lady in question was not named Prudence, but she went there, and she was, I don't know if she was freaking out or whatever, but she wouldn't come out. She was staying in her room, and he was saying, Dear Prudence, won't you come out to play, you know? And it was somebody, who was it, Mia Farrow? Somebody we know, but anyway, but that was another one I thought might be mentioned, but fascinating subject anyway, of course.
Yeah, right? So Dear Prudence.
Yeah.
So what is Dear Prudence about? So here's what we see. You're exactly right. The song was written by John Lennon and credited to Lennon-McCartney. Written during the group's trip to India in the early 1968, it was inspired by actress Mia Farrow's sister, Prudence Farrow, who became obsessive about meditating while practicing with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi.
Yeah. See, I knew Mia Farrow was involved, but it wasn't her. It was her sister. I thought Prudence was a made-up name for Mia Farrow, but it's actually the sister Prudence. Okay, well, that's good to know. But yeah, I was close.
Yeah, very close.
And that wasn't even on the list,
That wasn't even on the list. Anything else that we missed or you feel they missed?
No, but that once the Maharishi came in, I thought of Dear Prudence.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, because there's a direct tie.
Yeah, and I think Julia is Lennon's mom or something like that. But anyway, no, that one came to mind, Dear Prudence.
Very interesting.
But the rest of it is I'm sure there's no real I Want to Hold Your Hand doesn't have a real story behind it or anything.
I don't know if it's real deep. If it is a real deep,
she loves you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it seems pretty straightforward.
I could be wrong.
Yeah. So, I think that was interesting and fun. And again, for the Beatle lovers out there, hopefully it checked a box for you as well. So now that we've come to the end of this little Winging It segment, what does one say when they exit if they're you?
One says, let's fly this coop.
This has been Winging It, a presentation of Birds of a Feather on What the Flock Radio.